Okay, so welcome to Introduction to Active Release. This is part of Fundamentals 1 video, and it's really just to introduce you to the concept of what active release is, to give you a sense of what it feels like. I know this is supposed to be no equipment, but I'm hoping that everyone would at the very least be able to find a long sock or pantyhose. And this is a lacrosse ball, but you can use a tennis ball as well. A lacrosse ball is better, definitely. You can pick these up at a store like Sport Check. I looked, you can get a pair of them Canadian for $7. So I'm sure it's about the same in the States. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to take this and get it down the big sock. The whole reason why we're doing this is because we're going to be working in the upper mid-back in this area here, and this will just allow you, instead of struggling to get the ball, position it, this will allow you to find the spot. We're also going to introduce you to what it feels like to work on the glute hip area. This is not going to be as intense as ultimately you would want active release to be, but again, because you're doing Fundamentals 1, I'm assuming things are relatively new to experiencing things in your body, so we're just weaning you into the concept. So check out the definition on the website, what active release exactly is, because I'm going to focus more on what you should be feeling rather than the theory behind it right now. So what I want you to do is I want you to take that ball and I want you to sling it behind your back, and you're going to aim for just the inside border of one of your shoulder blades. So if you don't know, your shoulder blades basically look like a triangular bone, and they're right kind of on the side of the body where my hand is. If you kind of scratch your back, you'll feel that shoulder blade pop out. So you want it kind of just on the inside border of that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to lean up against the wall. So the whole purpose of the sock is just to pin it there, and it's just easier to slide that position up or down. And I'm leaning as much weight as I comfortably feel I can onto that shoulder blade, and I'm just going to roll up and down as I'm pressing my body weight into that wall. Everyone is going to be totally different as to where they feel things. And what we're aiming for is something called a trigger point. And a trigger point is a hard, kind of sore tissue or spot in your back, and you're wanting to kind of lay into that spot and hold and apply pressure. There are different strategies on what you can do with active release. You can, once you find that sore spot, you can just hold it, and you can hold for anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute to try and increase blood flow ultimately to that area to hopefully release the area. Or you can do little micro movements, both up and down and side to side, over top of that movement. So hopefully everyone's found a little bit of a trigger point, and you're working either up or down, side to side, or if it feels right for your body, you're just applying pressure just directly on that. So now what I want you to do is your choice. Either move up or slightly down. I'm going to move just slightly up, so that's where it comes in handy to move the use the sock. And I'm going to just pull up slightly, and I'm going to try to find just a different landmark or different location. Right now, I'm actually working, it's a little bit higher than I anticipated. It's almost at the top border of the shoulder blade. Exactly where you're working right now does not matter. What you're doing is we're just investigating on the body. I'm going to lower down a little bit. I came up a little bit too high. I'm getting you to investigate your body. With active release, it's very important to listen to your body and what you're trying to do, just much like a massage therapist would work on you and take time to get into the tissue so they can feel what's going on. That's what you're trying to do with your body. You're not going to know exactly where those trigger points are. You've got to find them and then work at them when you find them. So I don't know if you found any great spots. If you did, again, you're working up and down, little micro movements up and down and side to side. And we're going to go and switch on the other side just so you can see. The other thing you're doing whenever you, so again, slinging it over your back, you're trying to hit now the opposite shoulder blade, starting somewhere on the inside border of that shoulder blade. When we're working from side to side, going from one side to the other, I should say, what you're trying to figure out is one side tighter than the other? And I'm witnessing here and there. My left side did not feel too bad at all, and right away, bang, I'm feeling a trigger point on this right side, and I'm getting referral all the way up almost to midway through the top of my head. Referral pain or referral sensation is not uncommon when you're doing this. So I found a wonderful landmark here. I'm just going to stick out here and hold it. Again, it's something that's, this video is going to look kind of boring. You really have to listen to my cues. You have to take time to investigate in your own body and try to remember those trigger points. Unfortunately, they will not disappear after one bout of active release, and go ahead and either move up or down depending on where your body tells you it should. It's not going to respond to just one bout of active release. It's got to be a work in progress. You're continually working. If you find an area that doesn't feel so bad, you probably don't have to work too hard. It's the areas that cause a little bit of pain that you really want to spend some time working on. So again, we're not getting too specific as to where I want you to landmark or target, because I'm just introducing you to the concept of starting to listen to your own body. As we go further in active release, if you check out Fundamentals 2 and the Advanced, I will become more specific in where exactly we're trying to hit. But again, today the goal is just to get a sensation of what it feels like, and to listen to your body, and hopefully you find one or two trigger points. Actually, hopefully you don't, but reality is you probably will. Okay, so that's the upper body. Just give your neck a little bit of a stretch and see if you feel any different. You probably won't after on this first one, because chances are you're not quite putting as much pressure as you can. You want to push in active release to the point where it is quite painful, and that does take some time to get a sense of what your body can and cannot tolerate. So now we're going to try to work in the glute complex. So what I want you to do is, again, we're just going to generally landmark. You're going to investigate and see if you find any sore spots. So in this case, the bony landmark that we're kind of working around, you've got a triangular bone in between your glutes, basically, called the sacrum, and then you've got your ilium on either side. So we're going to work somewhere between the border of the sacrum, this triangular bone, and then the elephant ear-shaped bones at the side here. So try to work kind of closer to the midline initially, and just, again, lean up against that area, roll back and forth, and right away, ooh, I'm finding some good ones. You'll notice I start, instead of going straight on, so go ahead and try to landmark straight on first, so you're on that on the side of the triangular bone, and then I'm going to come to the side, so I'm rolling out to the medial part of my hip here, and more to the side of the bone, and you may find some really good spots in there. Now I'm finding a nice trigger point here. I'm going to hang out here again. I'm doing those little micro movements. The micro movements are up and down, shifting, and lateral, shifting side to side. And in this trigger point, it's interesting. I'm going to show you. Right now, I'm working on the opposite hip, right in here, and I'm feeling referral all the way down to the in the insertion of my hamstring. Again, it shows you how complex the inner workings of the body and the muscle tissue are. And again, little micro movements, investigating. I'm working now right into my TFL here. It's a muscle. You don't need to know this or know what you're doing. Just listen to your body. When you find a sore spot, hit those little micro movements. With active release, again, everyone is so different where they have their little trigger points based on how their body moves and what things you tend to compensate with. Okay, and over to the other side. So again, this time we're going to try a different strategy. I had you start more to the sacrum. Let's go hit more right to the side this time. I think you might find some better landmarks there. And just go ahead and lean in. So if somebody comes up to you and they're not familiar with exercise or active release, and you might have some explaining to do. It's a kind of a curious thing to be doing. But it is a very, very valuable tool. So as we're working on this side, and you're just kind of rolling around in that hip, just really quickly going over the theory. Again, it's on the Fundamentals 1 website on webperformancetube.com, and it talks about what exactly we're trying to do here. So basically, by applying pressure, we're trying to almost trick the body into thinking that there's an injury, increases blood flow to the area. So if there is adhesed tissue that's just not letting go, ideally the increased blood flow helps to release that tissue. In addition, a trigger point could be as a result of scar tissue from an old injury, and the idea here is we're trying to break up the scar tissue, cause it to break up, and then start the healing process. And if you do the active release in conjunction with stretching and range of motion, what we do is we ultimately get the range of motion back in the joint that it was designed to be. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. Please feel free to spend some more time. We did it today standing and leaning. That's kind of level 1 because you can only put so much of your body weight into the ball or whatever tool that you're using. Oh, I found another little good spot here. Ultimately, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having you sit on the ground or lie on the ground on top of the implement or whatever tool it is. And that, as you can imagine, you're getting more body weight, more pressure. It's a little bit more intense, but we'll be working up to that. So there you go. There's your introduction to active release. Thanks so much for joining me. Please check out all the other videos on webreforminstitute.com.